See, it's a whole therapeutic experience here. That's why we do the classical. Plus, we're bringing classy back, Justin Timberlake kind of brought sexy back, and Joe Biden think he bringing morality back to the White House. But over here, we're bringing classy back, right? Gentlemen, ladies, dames, we're doing all that, right? So hold on, and we do things differently here, right? That's why you might be hearing all kinds of shit about Martin Luther King Jr. today from all kinds of people who going to be saying all kinds of quotes about, his message doing this and that and good of this and wholesome and this, and then tomorrow they're going to, or later on, even that, probably right after they're saying that, they're going to start spewing garbage and vitriol. And we ain't going to be doing none of that, okay? So check it out. First quote of the day, folks, is compromise does not mean cowardice, right? So kind of like what happened with the election, right? Just because they saying Joe Biden won and John Ossoff and Warnock won in Georgia and blah 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 blah, right? Okay, we'll compromise. You got that. We'll give you that. But because bickering over that and everything else is not doing anything, we need to start moving forward, right? And everything else, like Lindsey Graham says. Otherwise, we'll be roaring back like in 2022, right? The Roaring 20s. And said that for nothing, right? So think about that, folks. Think about it. Don't rush to an answer right now. You can think about it. Mull it over. Eat a marshmallow before you think it over. You know what I mean? Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Martin Luther King. I bet you ain't hearing that quote. The choice today is not between violence and non-violence, but between violence and non-existence. Martin Luther King Jr. Okay? And that's true today. Why? I'll tell you why. Because you're seeing stuff like it happen at the Capitol, and you're seeing stuff like it happen in the summer, and all that kind of stuff, right? And they're using that to now clamp down and push down on the people. And now they're putting in all these security measures in the Capitol, and they're doing all this kind of stuff, right? And putting on all these laws that are going to pretty much make the Patriot Act look like 2.0 steroids, right? And you know what? We have ourselves to blame. Why? Because we took that bait, right? We were suckerfish for that. We did that. We had to blame ourselves. We can't be pointing the finger, right? Like Tyrus be saying sometimes, right? You point a finger at somebody else and you got 3 more pointing back at you. We need to take some responsibility here. Every situation, everybody at least got 10% responsibility. We all need to at least admit that. Okay? That way we can all be on a common page, right? Before I get into these little poems real quick. Right? That's just a bit on my mind. Right? So we start thinking ahead. We stop bickering or quarreling over this little small issues that aren't doing anything, but just making more people get on more zealous and polarized to the fringes of each side, right? And I'm in here in the middle, like peanut butter and jelly, right? I'm in here, I'm just trying to stick right here. So I think more people, if you want, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you want, you can just meet me here in the middle, and we can actually start flourishing with ideas, because doom and gloom don't blossom, folks. We're trying to build a beautiful garden here. You know what I mean? A great forest. Save the rainforest. Well, let's do it, folks. Metaphorically, figuratively, and literally. Let's all do it together. Right? That's all I'm saying. All inclusive here, buddy. We positive here. That's all we do. No pessimism, none of that. Right? No cortisol. We don't do that. I don't think so. Not here. Right? So, let's think about that, folks. Let's really think about it. Alright, so. And then maybe we'll get into some articles today. Okay. We have Ogden Nash. Bankers are just like anybody else except richer and Jewish. Oh, did I say that? This song is to celebrate banks because they are full of money. And you go into them and all you hear is clinks and clanks. Or maybe a sound like the wind in the trees on the hills, which is like the rustling of the $1,000 bills. Most banks dwell in marble halls, which they get to dwell in because they encourage deposits and discourage withdrawals, and particularly because they all observe one rule, which is woe besides the banker who fails to heed it, which is you must never lend any money to anybody unless they don't need it. I know you cautious conservative banks. If people are worried about their rent, it is your duty to deny them the loan of 1 nickel, yes, even 1 copper engraving of the martyred son of the late Nancy Hanks. If they request $50 to pay for a baby, You must look at them like Tarzan looking at an uppity ape in the jungle. Whoa, this is getting kind of racist here, whoa. And tell them what they think a bank is. Anyhow, they had better go get the money from their wife's aunt or uncle. But suppose people come in and they have $1 million and they want another $1 million to pile on top of it while you brim with the milk of human kindness and you urge them to accept every drop of that beautiful milk nectar and you lend them $1 million so they can have even $2 million. And this gives them the idea that they should be better off with 4. Well, why not? Shit. So they already have $2 million as security. So you have no hesitation in lending them 2 more. And all the vice presidents nod their heads in rhythm. And the only question asked is, do the borrowers want the money sent to them or do they want to take it with them? But please do not think that I am not a fond of banks, because I think they deserve our appreciation and thanks, because they perform a valuable public service in eliminating the jackasses who go around saying that health and happiness are everything and money isn't essential. Because as soon as they have to borrow some unimportant money to maintain their health and happiness, they starve to death. So they can't go around anymore sneering at good old money, which is nothing sort of providential. You go, man. All right, how about another one? This is gonna be like maybe 2 or 3 from Ogden Nash. The Anatomy of Happiness. Okay. Lots of truisms don't have to be repeated, but there is one that has got to be, which is that it is much nicer to be happy than it is not to be. And I shall even add to it by stating unequivocally and without restraint that you are much happier when you are happy when you ain't than when you ain't. Some people are just naturally Pollyanna, while others call for sugar and cream and strawberries on their manna. Now I think we all ought to say a fig for the happiness that comes of thinking helpful thoughts and searching your soul. The most exciting happiness is the happiness generated by forces beyond your control. Because you just depend on your helpful thoughts for your happiness and would just as soon drink buttermilk as champagne. And if mink is no better than lamp to you, you don't deserve to have anything nice and exciting happen to you. If you are really master of your fate, it shouldn't make any difference to you whether Cleopatra or the bearded lady is your mate. So I hold no brief for the kind of happiness or the kind of unhappiness that some people constantly carry around in their breast, their heart. Because that kind of happiness simply consists of being resigned to the worst, just as the kind of unhappiness consists of being resentful of the best. Now, there is only one kind of happiness that I take to the stump for, which is the kind that comes when something so wonderful falls in your lap. That joy is what you jump for. Something not of your own doing, when the blue sky opens and pops out a refund from the government, or an invitation to a terrapin dinner, or an unhoped or yes from the lovely creature you have been unconsultantly wooing. And obviously such miracles don't happen every day. But here's hoping they may. Because then everybody would be happy except the people who pride themselves on creating their own happiness, who as soon as they saw everybody who didn't create their own happiness happy, they would probably grieve over sharing their own heretofore private subliminally, a condition which I could face with unquanimity. I said it in my head perfectly, I swear in my head, no hesitation. Maybe once or twice, but when I say it out loud, there is. It's weird. Huh? Weird. Alright, I never even suggested it. I know lots of men who are in love, and lots of men who are married, and lots of men who are both. And to fall out of their loved ones is what all of them most lost. They are conciliatory at every opportunity, because all they want is serenity, and a certain amount of impunity. Yes, Minnie the swain who has finally admitted that the earth is flat, simply to sidestep a spat. Minnie the masculine positively or absolutely which has been diluted to an if, simply to avert a tiff. Minnie the two-fisted executive whose domestic conversation is limited to a tactfully interpolated yes. And then he is amazed to find that he is being raked backwards over the bed of coals nevertheless. These misguided fellows are under the impression that it takes two to make a quarrel, that you can sidestep a crisis by non-aggression and non-resistance. Instead of removing yourself to a discreet distance, passivity can be provoking. Modus operandi. Consider the Empire and Gandhi. Silence is golden, but sometimes invisibility is golder, because loved ones may not be able to make bricks without straw, but often they don't need any straw to manufacture a bone to prick, or blood in your eye, or a chip for their soft white shoulder. It is my duty, gentlemen, to inform you that women are dictators all, and I recommend to you this morale. In real life, it takes only one to make a quarrel. Kindly unhitch that star, buddy! I think we got one or two more. I hardly suppose I know anybody who wouldn't rather be a success than a failure. Just as I suppose every piece of grass in the garden would much rather be an azalea. And in celestial circles, all the run-of-the-mill angels would rather be archangels, or at least cherubim and seraphim. And in the legal world, all of the little process servers hope to grow up into great big bellphim and seraphim. Indeed, everybody wants to be a wow. But not everybody knows exactly how. Some people think they will eventually wear diamonds instead of rhinestones, only by everlastingly keeping their noses to their grindstones. And other people think they will be able to put in more time at Palm Beach and the Ritz by not paying too much attention to attendance at the office, but rather in being brilliant by starts and fits. Some people, after a full days of work, sit up all night getting college education by correspondence, by the mail. While others seem to think they'll just get as far by devoting their evenings to the study of the difference in temperament between brunettes and blondes. Some stake all their luck on it, and others put their faith in their ability to pass their buck. In short, the world is filled with people trying to achieve success. And half of them think they'll get it by saying no, and half of them by saying yes. And if all the ones who say no said yes, and vice versa, such is the fate of humanity that 99% of them still wouldn't be any better off than they were before, which perhaps is just as well, because if anybody was a success, nobody could be contemptuous, and if anybody else is everybody else would start in all over again, trying to be a bigger success than everybody else, so they would have somebody to be contemptuous of, and so on forevermore, because when people start hitching their wagons to a star, that's the way they are. C.D. Lewis. Consider these, for we have condemned them. Consider these, for we have condemned them. Leaders to sure now land, guides their bearing lost, or in league with robbers have reversed their signpost. Disrespectful to ancestors, irresponsible to heirs, born barren, a freak growth, root in rubble, fruitlessly blossoming, whose foliage suffocates. Their sap is suglish. They reject the sun. The man with his tongue on the cheek, the woman with her heart in the wrong place, unhandsome, unwholesome, have exposed a newborn to worse than weather, exiled the honest and sacked the seer. These drown the farms to form a pleasure lake. In time of drought they drain the reservoir through private pipes for bath and sprinklers, getters, not beggars, gainers, not beginners, whiners, no winners, no triers, betrayers, who steer by no star, whose mood means nothing, daily denying, unable to dig, at bay in villas from blood relations, counters of spoons and content with cushions. They pray for peace, they hand down disaster. They that take the bribe shall perish by the bribe, dying of dry rot, and ending in asylums, a curse to children, a charge on the state, but still their fears and frenzies infect us. Drug nor isolation will cure this cancer. It is now or never, the hour of the knife. The break with past, a major operation. Do not expect, again, a phoenix hour. Do not expect a phoenix hour, the triple-towered sky, the dove complaining. Sudden the rain of golden hearts first ease, tranced under trees by the eldritch light of sundown. By a blazed trail our joy will be returning. Our burning hour throws a light 1,000 ways, and hot blood stays into familiar gestures, and the best years wait, the body's plenitude. Consider them, my lover, this is the end of the larks ascending, the hawks unearthly hover. Spring season is over soon, and first heat wave, grave browed with cloud, ponders and the huge horizon. Draw up the dew, swell with Pacific violence, take the shape of silence, grow as the clouds grew, beautiful brood the cornlands, and there you are heavy, leafy the boughs. They are also hide the big fruit. Be fruitful. Be a tree. Giving. Loving. Remember, same bad time, same bad channel. Be a hoolie, not a foolie.